Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you all to Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh's Orientation 2020. After months of uncertainty, you have made it here at last, and we are thrilled to be able to welcome you all. As your seniors, we have tried our best to encapsulate the essence of a real life orientation and have tried to bring to you a gist of what your years at this wonderful institute would be like. We hope this event is fruitful for you and stimulates the start of an upward journey during your years here. One of our core tenets is the fostering of new ideas, innovation, and research to flourish the emergence of creators and leaders who will be responsible citizens with awareness and acceptance of ethical values. We at PEC believe in progress and continued growth, for which we owe a great deal to the pillars of this institution. Our director, Dr. Dheeraj Sanghi, best represents the values of this institute. Having done his BTech from IIT Kanpur, MS and PhD from the University of Maryland, he has years of technical knowledge and leadership experience. Prior to joining PEC as the head of the institute, he was the Dean Academic Affairs at IIT Kanpur, where he helped nurture excellence. With a stellar record of enriching and promoting growth, we are honored to be students under his guidance. Sir, I would request you to address the newest members of our college.
Thank you, Simran. It's a pleasure to be addressing the new batch. Congratulations to each one of you for getting selected in Punjab Engineering College. I'm sure you would have had a stellar record as an academic in 11th and 12th class for reaching here. Of course, we're meeting in very extraordinary circumstances. Ideally, I would love to have met you in person in our auditorium, on the streets of the campus, and so on. And I cannot tell you how much we are missing students on campus. You know, not just me, but all my faculty colleagues. We are really missing you guys. Of course, safety first. So we will not open till it is pretty safe to open. And therefore, you may have to go through this online orientation and online classes for first few weeks, maybe few months. Now, there are a few things that I want to talk about, that you should probably keep in mind when you go through the 4 years at PEC. The first is the joint entrance exam that all of you gave has a lot of luck factor. In fact, frankly, I've never met a student who is satisfied with his JEE rank. Even if somebody has a JEE rank of 50, he says, I should have been 40. Right? And the reason for that is really there is a huge amount of luck. So one thing I would like to suggest to you, that people who are your colleagues, who are studying in your sections and classes, they are in no way less than you just because they had 1 mark less in JEE or even 10 marks less than you in JEE. So forget the past. It's a new beginning. Don't focus on your JEE laurels. Now you have to perform here and treat everybody equally. We do see in some colleges, thankfully not so much in PEC, where this computer science guys would have this chip on their shoulder saying, I'm better than civil engineering guys. Sorry, you just got 5 marks more than civil engineering guy in JEE. That's all there is. Each one of you are individually very special. Each one of you have some special skills. Somebody could be good at math, somebody could be good at physics, and somebody could be good at cricket, somebody could be good at football, somebody could be good at singing, right? Each one of you have some special
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Excuse. Yeah, yes, sir. It will be better if you please on your camera.
Camera is on.
Okay, that's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm not able to see myself also. I don't know why it is happening this way.
Maybe. Okay, sir. Okay.
So should I log out and log in again?
Yes, sir. It's better. Your mic is off.
Yeah. Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. It's good now. It's good.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I was saying that, each of you is a very special person. Each one of you have some skills. And therefore, you should feel confident that you are no worse than the guy next door. And each one of you should treat everybody as equal. Also, in any case, the discipline in life will not matter at all. I mean, whether you are computer science or mechanical or metallurgy, your rise in career is not dependent on your department. In fact, we have a new curriculum that is going to be launched with you guys as the guinea pigs. In this curriculum, only about 30% of the content is department. Okay, you can actually study non-department stuff for most of the time, right? So just because somebody has done 10 extra courses here and there doesn't make them better or worse in anything, right? So first thing I would like to say is treat everybody equally, and there is no good department or bad department. You have to see what your passion is, what your interests are, and so on. In these 4 years, I think the major difference between a college life and a school life is in school life, you are spoon-fed. Teachers tell you what to study, parents tell you when to study, which coaching to join, what subjects to choose. Here you will have a lot of flexibility. And therefore, you have to find yourself. What are your interests? As I said, there's a lot of electives that you're going to do. And this is not very easy in the beginning. And then therefore, actually, we keep very few electives in the first year. In fact, perhaps there is no elective in the first semester, right? Because we want you to get used to the system first before we throw all these electives at you, right? But you will have to take a lot of decisions which you were not taking till school life.
वाईफाई लोड नहीं ले पा रहा है, कुछ नहीं, वो चल ही नहीं रहा, रुके जा रहा है. अगर कुछ अनकनेक्ट हो सकता है तो देख लो.
Okay. All right. So you would have to grow up and become an adult. Right. I'm seeing some echo and stuff. All right. And to help become that adult, to help you take advantages of college life, to help you grow up as a mature person who can take decisions. We will have not just academics here, we will have a lot of other options for you. A lot of technical societies, lots of clubs, lots of sports. Of course, in the first few months, you may not be able to take advantage of many of those things. Many of those things will be more easily accessible to you when you are on campus. But don't worry, that's your 4 years. That is only a matter of months. The other thing I would like to point out is, you should learn to respect not just the values and ethics. Unfortunately, in our society, there is very little focus on values and ethics. And to be honest with you, Punjab Engineering College will give you huge number of options to copy, to cheat. There would be very little punishment, unfortunately, to people who cheat. And you will be encouraged to cheat in some sense. And it is your option then. Do you really want to cheat and get a good grade, or do you want to learn? People who decide to learn, and unfortunately they are minority, they do extremely well in their career. So there will be a lot of incentives to just copy this assignment. Your roommate has done it, and why don't you just copy it and submit it? Okay. But if you do it yourself, not only you would have strength of character, you would have also learned things better. And I can tell you, people who succeed in life are those who have the right skills and knowledge, as well as those who have the strength of character. So despite the fact that, we will very unfortunately encourage, just like everybody else in this country, right? In schools and colleges across the country, you find people cheating all the time in their assignments, in their exams, in their whatever, right? But then the country doesn't succeed. Most of these people don't succeed. If you want to succeed, be honest, learn things. While we have a lot of options for you for extracurricular, co-curricular, etc., remember the primary purpose for you to be in PEC is academics. So don't forget academics. And this is again something that some of your seniors will tell you. To get a job, you need to have a good CV. You don't, and they will tell you that hard skills don't matter. Okay. These are nonsense. Okay. Hard skills matter. You may be able to manage the first job by fooling around. So a lot of people, tell me they studied in June, July, when July is that placement season starts. Within a few weeks, they could learn enough. They went through last year's questions. Question banks are available, and we were able to fool the company into hiring us. You cannot fool all the time, all the people. Having hard skills will make you succeed much better than fooling people. So while it's always enjoyable to be on the cricket field or on the basketball field or somewhere else, but don't lose focus of academics. You have to learn time management. And again, it comes back to in school, your parents were doing time management for you. Now you have to do that time management. You have to learn that trick very, very quickly. The next, and probably the last, the second last point, I have two more points to go. When you are here for 4 years, you will, of course, learn disciplines, you will learn equations, you will learn how to solve those equations. You will, in every course, you will have lots of things to solve, right? But I think the two additional focuses you should have. One is problem solving in general. Problem solving is different from solving an equation or solving a problem on the exam. So I'll give you an example. Suppose somebody says, I want pizza. Now there is a problem. How do you get pizza for this guy? He wants a pizza, right? Now, if you're just solving that equation or if you're just solving that question in the exam, you will try your level best to call up 10 restaurants and ask whether they make pizza and whether they can deliver or you can go and pick up and so on and so forth. But if you were a real problem solver, you will say, hey, it's difficult to get pizza. Can I get you burgers? Because the problem is not pizza. The problem is hunger. Right? So problem solving means that you understand the problem in greater detail in all its variety, and then see what is the best way to solve that problem. But there is something beyond that, which we almost never really think about. What is the right problem to solve? That is, I don't know whether we have any course in which we will be able to teach you that. Of course, if you do courses in humanities and social science, they will often give you wisdom to understand what problems to solve. Science and engineering doesn't give you wisdom to know what problems to solve. And that's why we have a few humanities and social science courses for you. And let me give an example of, what I'm talking about. So, for example, when you got your JEE result, let's say if you had 20,000 rank, you would be concerned, what should I take? Should I go to PEC and take electrical engineering? Should I go to, some NIT far off place? Should I go to Thapar University? Right? So I'm sure all of you would have gone to your friend, your neighbor, your coaching guys, your school teachers and said, which is better? PEC, this branch, Thapar, that branch, etc. Right? And you would have done that for about 10, 12 days before there was a time to lock your choices in the counseling. And those 10, 12 days would have been extremely stressful for you. Why were they stressful? They were stressful because you were not convinced of the answers anybody gave. And why were you not convinced? Well, you wouldn't know that. But think about it this way. You are asking the wrong question. Okay. Is discipline A in college X better than discipline B in college Y? This is a completely wrong question. Okay. And this is a question that each one of you would have asked. And not just you, each one of every single student of 12th class in this country would have asked. And I'm claiming that this is a wrong question. Because this question presupposes that there is a definition of better. So the right question to ask is, how do I choose? How do I know what is better? And that's not the question that you would have asked, most of you at least. So if you had asked even before the JEE result came out from your friends and family and so on and so forth, like, how do I decide what program is better for me? You would have got some advice. You would have rejected, accepted some things. And then you would have asked second set of questions saying, okay, I have decided that what is better for me has to be, evaluated using this metric. How do I get for this metric? And then you would decide, what is better. If you had gone that way, you would not have had any stress. So the period after JEE result is the most stressful period in this country for all 12th class students in this country, because they have not learned what is the right question to ask. So I think in these 4 years, try to learn a lot of non-STEM things. Humanities and social science will teach you how to evaluate options much better than science and technology can do that for you. And the last point I wanted to make was use this opportunity to make friends. Now, there is this culture in PEC, which this semester we are trying to break. Computer science people will stay with computer science, electrical people will stay with electrical, mechanical people will stay with mechanical, right? And we have encouraged that by having sections on the basis of your discipline. Even the first year courses sections are on the basis of discipline, right? So when I meet somebody who graduated 40 years ago and I say, in how many batchmates are you connected with? The numbers are like 5, 10, 15, okay? And I'm like, I am connected with hundreds of them, of my batchmates when I went to college, right? Because I know people across disciplines, right? Now, if you are going to be friends with only 10, 15, you have wasted these 4 years. You got to make friends with all 800 or 650 people who are on this call today. Not only with these 650, you ought to know your senior people, the second year rights at least, if not third year rights. And you ought to know the next batch which comes in 2021. So when you leave college, you should be able to say, I have 2,000 friends, not 20. We're talking about 2 orders of magnitude difference. So when I meet alumni and I ask this question, how many people are in your, so one of the questions I used to ask initially, then I stopped asking this question. I said, take out your phone and tell me how many PEC alumni are there in your directory. And they will typically say 15, 20. And I said, if you see my phone, I have about 2,000 of them. And if I look at my Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and so on, it's probably 4,000 to 5,000. And my batch size was only 200, by the way. So I think, and as a result, we can do things today which would be very difficult for you to do otherwise. I mean, I'll give you an example of one of my batchmates. His father was traveling from Delhi to US via Moscow, by Soviet airline, whatever that is called, right? At Moscow airport, he had a heart attack. So he is immediately taken to a hospital. And somebody somehow informed his son. I mean, this guy cannot speak Russian, no doctor speaks English, and there is a problem. But somehow the son came to know, maybe the airline informed or whatever. Now the son is trying to reach out to this father. So I think he also knew where the hospital is. He sent a message to our batch mailing list saying, look, my father is in this hospital. He's not able to say anything to anybody because he doesn't know English. Can somebody arrange an interpreter in Moscow who knows both Russian and English? Right? It took about 15 minutes to arrange that because of friendships. 15 minutes. If you are only going to have 20 friends, you won't be able to do these things. I can tell you that. Right? So you have to make friends. Everybody is equal to you. Everybody will be able to help you out in future, right? No, there's such things as, I had a JEE rank of 20,000, this guy had a JEE rank of 20,001, so he's poorer than me. Okay. So I think that's all I have to say. I'm sure I will have lots of other things to say when we meet again. Whenever you visit campus, I'm sure people from Chandigarh would be able to visit campus sometime. Do drop by. My office is always open, and I'd love to meet students. Thank you very much. Enjoy yourself. Do well in life.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Director, sir, for a nice talk to the new students. So myself, Sanjeev Kumar, in Student Affairs. So the students, congratulations to you all for getting admission in Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh. So college life is an not just for hard work, but also for new experiences and opportunities. So college life is full of learnings, challenges, and achievements. Hope you all take judicious advantage of all such opportunities during your stay here. So in the next few days, we will introduce you with the vision, infrastructure, and facilities of the Institute through various presentations and talks during the orientation program 20. So first important thing that orientation is a 2-credit course, 1 credit for the course Introduction to Discipline Engineering, every day scheduled in the afternoon session 2 to 4 p.m. and department specific. Second credit is related to the morning session scheduled every day. So you will be given short quizzes every day. You have to attend all quizzes to earn the required credits. So as we are celebrating centenary year celebrations this year, and in this regard, centenary years lecture series is already going on, and we are calling eminent personalities to share their views on particular topics. So your attendance is mandatory, and we can also ask quizzes regarding the same. So today in PEC Centenary Lecture Series, we are privileged to have with us Dr. Krishnamurthy Subramaniam as our fourth distinguished speaker, who is currently serving as the Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India. So he will be speaking on post-COVID economy today at 7 p.m. My students team will send the link to you all. So one important thing I want to tell you that we are considering you all as adults. So you are fully responsible for your actions as adults. So we have one disciplinary action committee, which takes actions on the students for indisciplined activities. And I want to clear one more thing, that we are not giving the hostel facilities to the students who got admitted through Chandigarh quota. So with this brief, I want to show you some facilities in brief, because my colleagues, they will give you the introduction day by day. So I am going to share my presentation. Just a minute. So I hope you are able to see the presentation. So this is my orientation team. So we have with us Professor Ravinder Kaur. She is Associate Dean Student Affairs, Culture Clubs and Societies. Professor Sanjay Batish, he is Associate Dean Student Affairs, Sports and Others. Professor Arun Kumar Singh, Associate Dean Student Affairs for Hostels. Professor Singh, Associate Dean Academic Affairs for UG. And Professor J.D. Sharma, who is Head CDGC and Head CIM. So all of these direct you day by day by showing you all the facilities for you. So these are the technical societies. We have 12 technical societies for you people to join and development yourself. And we have 15 cultural clubs. So you can join any of the club. So tomorrow, Professor Ravinder Kaur will give you the brief about all these clubs. And this is the institute dispensary we have in our college. for the students as well as the faculty. So institute library is a big library we have, and air conditioned also. And this is the student activity center where you can perform the different activities after joining the clubs and the technical societies. So this is the lawn tennis court we have in our campus. This is the basketball court. Athletic ground, fully night lit, so you can also do the exercises in the night. This is the cricket ground we have. That is also like. Then we have football ground. And this is the gymnasium hall we have with all state-of-art facilities for exercise. This is indoor badminton court in the gymnasium hall. This is the squash court we have as one of the facility. This is the swimming pool facility we have in our campus. And this is the open air theater where students usually do their performances. And this is the pet market for you people so that you can have some foods to enjoy. So in this pet market, we have post office also, as well as the SBI branch bank facility. We have SBI as well as Punjab National Bank branch at the pet market. So we have hostels, also 6 hostels, out of which 2 are for girls and 4 are for boys. So this is the Vindhya hostel we have. So tomorrow, Professor Arun Kumar Singh will give you the brief about all these hostels. This is the Kalpana Chawla, again girls hostel. And in this, we have new 40 rooms now. And this is the Shivalik hostels. And it is the old hostel, which is also known as MLA's hostel. So during the first Legislative Assembly of Punjab, the MLAs usually stay here in this hostel. That's why it is known as MLA's hostel. And this is the Himalaya hostel we have for boys. Kurukshetra hostel. So I am giving just the glimpse of these facilities because tomorrow onwards, my colleagues will give you the details about these facilities. This is the Aravali hostel we have. So this is the expansion plan that in future, we will be expanding the hostel facilities. So tomorrow, again, Professor Arun Kumar will give you the details. And now this is the PEC Fest, the biggest fest, what we can say in North India, in which nearly footfall of 25 to 30,000 students take part in this fest. So in this fest, usually we call some Bollywood celebrity, as well as the technical lectures. Students participate in different activities. And this is a 3-day fest, basically. And this is the Voyager scheme started by our worthy director, Professor Dheeraj Sanghi, in which we make the group of the students who present their idea. Because in this scheme, we allow the students, a group of students of 3 to 4, or to move in India in around 6 states to explore, to visualize the problems of the common man. So depending on their interest, they present that what they want during their visit. And accordingly that, we select few teams and we send those teams to all over India. And after back to the college campus, they present again that what they explored and what they want to do for the common people. So this is a very good scheme. So we have also student counselor at our campus, Dr. Neelam Bas, as well as we have one online counseling agency we have hired, that is Your Dost, for counseling services. So Dr. Raminder Kaur will tell you tomorrow about these counseling facilities we have in our campus as well as online. So now my students team that they are doing day and night work for this orientation to make success. So he's Piyush Sharma and Shantanu Chawla. So both are conveners. And the co-conveners are Jayan Batla and Prateek Karb. So they are doing a lot of work to make this orientation successful. And of these four, only on these four, not these four, but nearly 20 students, they are working hard for you people to acclimatize you with all the facilities and as well as all the presentations. So with this, I again welcome you all to the Punjab Engineering College. And second thing I want to tell you that soon we will meet physically. We will hope and we will pray to the God that we should meet physically after the end of this pandemic. So with this, thank you all. So in last, one more thing I want to say that orientation is a 2-credit course and you have to earn these 2 credits. So every day you have to answer the quizzes. So that is important basically, right? So with this, thank you all.
I would like to thank Director Sir for your presence and your words of encouragement. I would also like to thank you, DSA Sir, for always being a guiding light and briefing the students about their upcoming session. Now I would like to welcome Dr. Sanjeev Kumar, Dean Academic Affairs and Professor in Department of Mechanical Engineering. It is his office which acts as a channel of communication between students and instructors from their respective interdisciplinary programs. Sir, I would request you to address the gathering.
Good morning, students. So you just listened to the Dean Student Affairs. I am Dean Academic Affairs. He told you about the various facilities like you must already be knowing. He is looking after the sports, cultural societies, technical societies, then hostels. So I will be looking after your academic part, all the like your curriculum, your conduct of classes, your examinations, your record keeping, okay, all those things I will be looking after. Incidentally, we have 6 deans in our institute, but normally the students interact with 2 of them. So both are Sanjeev Kumar. So let me make this thing clear. So there's no confusion. Dean Student Affairs is professor in physics department. I am professor in mechanical engineering department. So I'll begin with my presentation. So I will tell you about the curriculum, other academic requirements, all those details. Start. Share. Okay. Is it coming? You are sharing. Okay. Your sharing has started. Can you see it? Okay.
No, sir, not
visible.
Not visible.
Okay, maybe set up from beginning. Share. Share my meeting window? No. Okay. Yeah, share. You are sharing your screen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible now. It is visible.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, please, right.
Yeah. So warm welcome to Punjab Engineering College, deemed to be university. So some introduction has already been given by Director Sir and our Honorable Dean Student Affairs. As he already told you that we are into the centenary year now. We have already completed 99 years. So we are into the 100th year. The Punjab Engineering College, just to give you a brief history, very short, it was established as the Mughalpura Engineering College at Lahore on November 9, 1921. And it was renamed in 1950. So relocated also into India after partition and renamed in 1950 as Punjab Engineering College. So popularly you will all call it as PEC, and probably you already call it. So it was earlier a constituent college of the Punjab University. With the formation of the Union Territory of Chandigarh in 1966, the college came under the administrative control of Chandigarh administration, and it still remains under the administrative control of Chandigarh administration. All the funding we receive from Chandigarh administration. In 2003, Government of India notified PEC as a deemed to be university. Actual functioning as a deemed university started in 2005. So obviously, this deemed to be university gives us the flexibility to set our own standards, set our own curriculum, conduct our own examinations, and award our own degrees. So the administration is governed by, we have a board of governors, which is led by an eminent industrialist. People from Punjab must be familiar with his name. Shri Raninder Gupta, he is the chairman. Other key members of the board include Shri A.K. Taneja, MD and CEO of Shri Ram Pistons, Shri Sanjeev Agarwal, founder and senior MD, Helion Ventures, and alumnus, Shri Purushottam Kaushik. Besides this, on the board, we have like internal members, some senior professors, director, registrar, and representation from the Chandigarh administration. The institute in its new setup has introduced policies and programs which are at par with those at IIT and other best institutions in the world. So coming to the academic bodies, so these are the three academic bodies. This is in the order of hierarchy. Senate is the highest academic body of the institute. IAPC, Institute Academic Program Committee, which is at the institute level, as the name will tell you, and you will be mostly concerned with DAPC. So DAPC, the Departmental Academic Program Committee, will look after all your requirements at the departmental level. So it will advise you what are the courses being floated, what are the requirements. I will also give you some idea about the open electives, about the departmental electives, core courses. But when it comes to the actual implementation and your actual registration, that will be your formulation of your subjects, and then approval of your grades before sending to my office. So they will be requesting to annotate the shared content. Annotate during, you cannot control the shared content until you. Should I approve? No. No. But you can see it clearly. Okay. So we have the departmental academic program committee. So that will look after all your requirements at the department level. And my office, the Office of Dean Academic Affairs, or in short, we call it the academic section. It assists all these academic bodies in its various tasks. So this is my office. The Office of Dean Academic Affairs is responsible for implementation of the decisions taken on academic matters by the Senate and IAPC, maintenance of all records, including curricula, courses offered, academic calendar, registration, examinations, grades, and award of degrees and medals. dissemination of information pertaining to all academic matters, and it assists, as I already told you, it assists the Senate and IAPC in their tasks. So some of the salient features of the UG curriculum, some idea was given by our director, sir. We have introduced a new curriculum from this session. So you will be the first batch to undergo that new session. This session has been framed in line with the recommendations of the National Education Policy to give you more flexibility and more freedom while meeting your basic needs of the discipline. So we have a choice-based credit system and with extensive flexibility in tune with the new National Education Policy. In addition to the department-specific basic sciences courses, we also have engineering science courses, departmental core courses, humanities and social sciences courses. It consists of the departmental electives, management electives, and open elective courses. So you will have a wide choice. In fact, you can also, while you are studying your computer science, you can also take up a course in French language. Or you can study management subjects. You can study subjects of metallurgical engineering department. So there, so much flexibility is there. But first year is, we don't give you any flexibility. The curriculum is fixed in the first year because it is generally regarded that by our academic bodies that you will be too young in the first year to decide what exactly you want. But once you are through with the first year, then it opens up all the possibilities. You have only 3 to 4 maximum core courses in the third, fourth, and fifth semester. And then you can take various departmental electives if you want to excel in the department in which you are enrolled, or if you want to pursue something additional to what are the requirements of your department, you have the open elective courses. So you can choose as many open elective courses from the various departments. Now, some more salient features of the UG curriculum: co-curriculum activity courses such as proficiency, NSS, sports clubs, technical societies, rural development, work-based training, and discipline are now credited. So we have as many as 10 credits. The minimum requirement to complete your degree is 160 credits. 160 credits. So out of which, as many as 10 credits have been given to these activities. So not only you will be able to pursue your interests, but you will also at the same time be able to earn some credits also. Now, besides that, we have courses on communication skills and ethics, environmental science, introduction to discipline engineering, computer programming. Every student will study computer programming in the first year, and then in the third semester, every student will study artificial intelligence and machine learning. So these subjects have been embedded now in the curriculum. Plus, our curriculum includes 1 semester internship in the 6th semester. So that is optional. And you can also do project based on industry problems. So about this semester internship, so you can, the institute has approved list of department-wise approved list of companies, big organizations, in which you can go for internship in your 6th semester. Plus, we have, in fact, if you want to go to any organization of your liking, we have some basic requirements like its quality level and its turnover and its visibility, those kinds of things we are there. So head CDGC, Dr. J.D. Sharma will look after these requirements. But if you do not want to go on this internship, it is also possible that you stay in the campus and you do different open electives, departmental electives, and you are also permitted to do project work during this semester. And all these activities carry credits. So this is one slide which you would be very much interested. So that is the credits breakup of your entire BTech program. As I told you, you are required to do a minimum of 160 credits. Out of this, the institute core courses carry 36 credits. Again, there is a breakup of this. Basic sciences, minimum 16 credits. Engineering sciences, 16 credits. And general science, 4 credits. Then humanities, communication and management elective courses, minimum 12. So I am again and again saying these are minimum 12 because this is the minimum academic requirement. You can always take up more humanities and management courses if you are interested in that. And in fact, we will give you a minor specialization in those cases. I will come to that after this. Department core courses, like directors have said now, so this emphasis has now been reduced. Earlier it used to be around 60 and more than 60 departmental core courses. So now you are required to do only 40. Departmental elective courses, 20. Normally, what you would do is you would choose a particular specialization in your departmental elective, like maybe big data, data science, in computer science, in electrical engineering, maybe power systems, or in mechanical engineering, like thermal engineering, if you choose. So you can take departmental electives of that specialization to excel in that particular area. So that is 20 credits in any case you have to do, but you can again do addition. Then we have institute open elective courses, total 30 credits, in which the courses carry 24 credits and 6 credits are for project work, which is now, earlier this project work used to be within the departments. Now it has essentially been made interdisciplinary. So you can form a team of students from across the departments. You can choose your supervisors from across the department. So these 6 credits will be under your institute open elective courses. Then the internship, which I just mentioned, that is the 6th semester internship. So that will carry 12 credits if you go to the industry. If you stay back in the campus, you will do 4 credits of department electives, 4 credits of open elective, and 4 credits of project work. And the non-academic credits are 10. So that comes out to be total 160. And you can also get honors. Okay, if you want to say BTech honors in mechanical engineering, so in that case, you will have to do 16 extra credits. There are some other requirements also for that, which I will now explain. So we have these 3 possibilities, these 3 opportunities. So honors, major, or minor specialization. Students with good academic standing and desirous of excelling further in academics have the following opportunities. You can get honors. To get honors in the parent discipline, the honors will always be in the parent discipline. Okay. So honors in the parent discipline, a student will have to complete additional 16 credits over and above the 160 credits of discipline electives in the parent department. And to get honors, you must have a CGPA greater than or equal to 8.5. Okay, so this is everywhere in all these specialization, we have a CGPA requirement. To get major specialization is also available in the parent discipline. Like I told you that you may get a degree BTech in mechanical engineering with major specialization in thermal engineering. Okay, a student will have to complete 16 credits. Now these 16 credits are within the 160 credits by doing courses of the same domain out of the departmental electives during the entire duration of your program and attain CGPA greater than or equal to 7. So you must do these 16 credits of the same domain. This will be notified by the DAPC of your department. So you can take them up. If you complete 16 credits, you will get a major specialization. Now coming to minor specialization, again a student will have to complete 16 credits. Now this is within the 160 credits by doing courses outside the parent department during the entire duration of the program in the institute. And again, the requirement is you must have a CGPA greater than 7. So for example, a student of metallurgical engineering can get a minor specialization in computer science. Okay. A student of aerospace engineering can get a minor specialization in mechanical. So that is to broaden your horizon, to give you more opportunity when you move out of this institute. These minor specialization and in fact even these major specializations are usually helpful if you want to go in for higher studies like MS in your parent discipline, but minor specializations will be helpful if you want to do like MBA or you want to go into other areas beside at the master's level besides your discipline which you pursued at the BTech level. So we have a condition here. A student may do honors only. You are permitted to do honors only. You may do major specialization with honors, or you may do minor specialization with honors. But major and minor specialization together are permitted. So now I come to the UG rules and procedures. So we will have 2 academic sessions every year. The odd semester would normally start in the 4th week of July. This year it is all upside down. So normally it would start from the 4th week of July to the last week of November, and it will be designated, for example, so commonly you will need to write this in your registration forms, and your DMC will also carry this number. So for your this semester, which you are just about to begin, that would be 2021-1. Okay, so next year it would be 21-22-1, like this. And the even semester would be 2021-2. Okay, so the even semester normally begins from the first week of January to the last week of April. This is what I am talking is about the teaching days. Like after April, in the month of May, you will have your examinations, end term examinations, your evaluation, grade finalization, and all those things. Okay, then you will have some break. Different activities are planned during those breaks also. So gradually you will come to know about them. The exact dates of all the important events such as registration, late registration, commencement of classes, examinations, festivals, summer and winter break, etc. They are given in the institute academic calendar. So this would be available right now. Let me tell you, for this semester, it is as of now is not available. Your classes, but you must have been told this thing. Your classes, regular teaching starts from the 14th of December. So we are in the process of finalizing this academic calendar because so many uncertainties are involved. Usually, even before the beginning of your semester, this institute academic calendar would be available on the institute website, so you can do all your planning according to this. Now, registration is very important. Every semester, registration is very important. So for this semester also, you have to do the registration, which will be done on the e-academic portal. The details will be shared soon, maybe in a day or two, on the official email ID, which has been given to you. So all the procedure for that registration will be listed. But as I told you that in this semester, you don't have any flexibility. So whatever curriculum we have decided, that is fixed for you. Only those subjects will appear when you start your registration process. So you will have to essentially choose all of them. But starting from 3rd semester onward, you will have the availability of so many departmental electives, so many open electives. 4 courses would of course be compulsory. So you will choose all the core courses, and you will select your departmental elective, you will select your open electives according to your requirement and interest. So academic registration at the beginning of the semesters involves filling the registration form, payment of fees, and signing the registration roll. So signing of the registration roll this semester, of course, we are not carrying out, but all these guidelines, they are general in nature, which are applicable for all these semesters. So I have not removed this. But generally, when you are here physically, you are with us. So what you do is you fill a registration form with the help of the DAPC of your department. You of course pay the fees, semester fees, and then you sign a registration roll. So that completes your registration process. Another thing is subsequently, again, not in the first year, but subsequently, you will do pre-registration. Okay, so that helps us in planning the academic activities. We know, like, we will tell you well in advance. Suppose when you are into your second semester, maybe if normal semester is from January to April. So in the month of March, we will ask you to do pre-registration. So you will be given all the options of the various electives, other options available. So you will choose out of them as part of your pre-registration activity. So pre-registration is also mandatory. This helps us in planning the next semester well in advance. We know how many subjects will be floated, how many students want which students want which subjects. We know all these things and we plan the timetable also. We hire the faculty if required, things like that. So subject pre-registration on the date specified in the calendar for the courses to be pursued in the next semester. The responsibility of registration rests with the student. Let us make this thing very clear. You have to do registration in the beginning of the semester. A student will not get credit for any course for which she is not registered. To start attending classes, you have not registered, you will not be given any credit, you will not be allowed to sit in the evaluation for that subject. Late registration, there is possible. He will give you a date, 1 day or 2 day in the beginning of the semester for the registration. If for any compelling reason like illness, etc., a student is unable to register by the date of normal registration, she can register by the late registration date. So that also we will mention in the academic calendar, but usually it is 2 weeks from the beginning of the semester, specified in the academic calendar on payment of a specified late fee. Very nominal late fee is there. I think some first week some 500 rupees, then second week some 1000 rupees, like that. However, if a student seeks prior permission to register late on valid grounds, like people who go abroad, who are from abroad, so they can apply to me in advance. So I will allow them to do late registration without any late fee. No student shall be allowed registration after the last date specified for registration. So please keep this in mind. Then we also have the facility of adding and dropping of courses. A student may add or drop courses till the last date specified in the academic calendar with the permission. Now for this you need the permission of convener DAPC. DAPC, as I already told you, Departmental Academic Program Committee. So it will have 4 or 5 members, senior professors. One of them would be convener. Your HOD will tell you about him. So you will meet your convener DAPC. You will take permission of the concerned instructors, of course. The instructor whose course you want to add, the instructor whose course you want to drop. So you will take permission from them and submit it to my office. May be asked to drop a course at any stage. Now this is a provision we have because sometimes we face problem later on. So you may be asked to drop a course at any stage if the student does not meet the prerequisites for a course. There are certain courses which carry prerequisites. So if you have not covered and you have inadvertently registered for that course, so obviously you will be asked to drop that. Or if there is a serious clash in the student's timetable, preventing her from attending the course. I hope you will appreciate our operational limitations. So we try to give you maximum flexibility in terms of your departmental electives, in terms of your open electives, but sometimes the clash is so much that we cannot manage all those subjects within the available time. So in that case, you may be asked to drop a course. Okay, or if you are found not entitled to register for that course for any other reason. Like I just mentioned to you, you cannot pursue minor and major specialization simultaneously. Okay, so if you again by mistake or by oversight, if you have registered and obviously within 1 month or so, my office will find out. So in that case, you will be asked to drop a course. So you have to be very careful. All these rules will be given to you. They will be available on the institute website. Then your DAPC members are always available. My office is available. I am available. You can anytime walk in and ask whatever is your requirement, whatever way you have to proceed. All those details will be provided to you. Cancellation of registration, absence for a period of 8 or more weeks at a stretch during a semester. Please note it down. Absence for a period of 8 or more weeks at a stretch during a semester shall result in automatic cancellation of the registration of a student from all the courses of that semester. Okay, but we have a provision. Let me tell you that will come again also. We have a provision of semester leave. Suppose due to some unfortunate reason, suppose your illness or some major mishap in your family, God forbid. So if you are you have a problem, you will be given a semester leave. Okay, so that provision is there, but you have to apply well in advance for that. There are certain rules for that. Now coming to the academic load. Again, this is very, very important. During the first year of the program, all courses offered by the institute are mandatory. For the subsequent semesters, that is 3rd to 8th semester, a student is required to register for a minimum load of 12 credits. Okay, so all these your subjects, they will carry certain credits based on the number of lectures. Like obviously you understand that any subject will have a certain number of lectures. It will have certain numbers of tutorials. It may or may not have, like maybe a management subject may not have tutorials, and it will also have a practical component. So we normally call it LTP. So all the subjects, the syllabus, etc., you see on the institute website. On the top of it, you will find LTP written. So this credit is related to that LTP. Normally, one lecture is equivalent to 1 credit. 2 hours of practicals are equivalent to 1 credit. But this is a rough estimate. There are exceptions in this. So you will know for each subject how many are the credits allotted. That you will know. So you are required to register for a minimum load of 12 credits and a maximum load of 24 credits in a semester. Now this excludes non-academic credits. Okay, so non-academic credits are 10 and they are distributed over the 4 years. Like Dean Student Affairs sir just told you that your orientation program carries 2 credits. So those 2 credits are included in these non-academic. So these are part of those 10 non-academic credits. So these obviously you will do on the recommendations of the DAP. Okay. Each course carries a weightage in terms of credits depending upon the academic load, which in turn is determined by the number of contact hours, lectures and tutorials, and laboratory hours, if applicable. Okay. Similarly, DAPC may allow a student for bona fide reasons to take a reduced load. Okay. Some student is unable to cope up, he wants to take a reduced load. DAPC will allow it if it finds that the reasons are genuine enough. Also, a deficient student may be required to take a reduced load as per provisions recommendations of DAPC. Because my office and the CNET IAPC, they also review these things from time to time. Suppose you are not able to achieve a minimum level of CGPA or SGPA, so we may ask you to reduce your load so that you are able to cope up. The evaluation is continuous. These all things, as I already told you, I am talking of a normal semester. So probably these two coming semesters will not be normal semesters, but we do hope that by July or August, because normally we start our new academic session in the first week of August. So we are really hoping that things will be normal by the end of July, and we are able to call all of you to the campus and start our. So your third semester hopefully will be a normal semester. You will enjoy campus life. You will enjoy all the facilities for which very attractive pictures were just shown by Dean Student Affairs. Okay, so this is a continuous evaluation which takes place throughout the semester. Some of these may not occur in your these 2 semesters due to the very difficult situation. Okay, so you have mid-semester exams, end semester exams, quizzes, short tests. So they are usually, these quizzes, short tests are usually unannounced. So teacher would simply walk into your lecture time at your lecture time and he will hand over a quiz to you. Okay, so quizzes, short tests are unscheduled, unannounced. They are there to evaluate your readiness, your regular interest in your studies. But this mid semester exam, end semester exam, they will all be scheduled and a central notice will be issued for them. So then tutorials, assignments, lab work, projects. So all these would constitute your continuous evaluation. The academic performance of a student shall be graded on a 10-point scale. The letter grades and their equivalent grade points are listed below. So you could get a A plus grade if your performance is outstanding, A grade for excellent, B plus, B, C plus, C, D. I hope none of you gets a D grade or an F grade. Then we have incomplete grade, I, N not eligible, S satisfactory, X unsatisfactory. So basically, let us concentrate on these good grades. So these I will explain how these will be used to find out your SGPA and CGPA. So this is your semester grade point average. Every semester you will get a semester grade point average. The performance of a student in a particular semester is measured by semester performance index, which is SGPA in short. So if the grade point is very simple to understand, if the grade points associated with the letter grade awarded to a student are G1, G2, G3, or G5. Like if you have obtained a B plus grade in a subject, your grade points are 8. Okay. So this 8 will be taken and it will be multiplied by the credits of that course. Okay. Similarly, credits of the second course you have taken, your grade received in that, like that, and divided by the summation of all the credits. So that would be your SGPA. Then similar is your CGPA. CGPA is your overall academic performance in all the courses registered up to and including the latest completed semester. So it is computed at you have completed all the courses that you have completed. Your grade, their weightage, their credits multiplied divided by the summation of all the credits. So that way, incomplete grades are not included in computing the CGPA. Okay. Besides that, we have two types of examinations after the end term examination. One will be called reappear examination, other would be the makeup examination. I will tell you what is the difference between them, though they appear to be similar. Every student is allowed to take end-term examination again in a maximum of 2 courses in which he scores an F grade in a particular semester. Okay, so if you have obtained F grade in more than 2, you cannot take you can take a maximum of 2 courses only. Okay, now if you give, so this again, this date is announced, you have to register for this reappear examination. You have to come to my office, submit a form that you want to appear in the reappear, because you have to choose. We don't know, you may have failed in 3 courses, but you will choose 2 out of them. So you will, and if you get now sufficient marks in the reappear examination, your grade will be revised only to a D grade. Okay, remember this. That is the major difference between reappear examination and makeup examination. In the reappear examination, after the exam, you can get a maximum of D grade, but this condition is not there when you give a makeup examination. That is if for a bona fide reason you fail to appear in the end term examination. So you can make a request to DAPC for a makeup examination within 2 days of the date of scheduled examination. Genuine justification should request. Okay, so if you were ill, you would be required to submit a medical certificate. So you give an application along with your medical certificate to the DAPC. They will see your genuinity of your claim and send it after recommending to my office. So only one makeup examination for the end term and semester exam is allowed per course, but you can get any grade in the makeup examination. You do very well, you can get even an A+ grade in the makeup examination. Change of branch. Branch change is considered only once after the end of the second semester for students admitted under normal seats. So by normal seats, I mean that the students who come under the supernumerary seats, they will not be allowed to participate in this branch change process. So a student who has successfully completed the first year with CGPA greater than 8 may apply for change of branch at the end of the second semester in the prescribed pro forma by the date announced for this purpose. You will submit this application in my office. The allotment of branch would be made on the basis of the second semester. In case of a tie, so this is a good thing. In case of a tie, both the students will move to the branch of their choice. So you can give the choice of branches subject to the availability. Again, we have to see what is the availability. It is not that all the students who get CGPA more than 8 will get a branch change. So merit does matter. The better you perform, better are your chances for the change of branch. Okay. So change of branch is subject to availability of vacancy and other terms and conditions governing branch change. However, it will be assumed that for this purpose of change of branch, it will be assumed that every branch has at least one vacancy. Usually why we have given this provision is many a times it happens that the students who get a CGPA of 10, they all want computer science and engineering, and sometimes not even a single seat is available in computer science and engineering, which of course is our most sought after branch. So we have given this provision, even if that branch is full, you will have at least one vacancy. So the advantage of this rule and the previous rule you see here in case of a tie. So if there are 4 students at 10 CGPA tied up, they all will move to computer science. Okay, so interesting, work hard, work very seriously. Okay. Inflow of students, there is another condition. Inflow of students into a branch cannot increase the strength of a class beyond the normal sanctioned intake. Okay, but of course, like we will assume at least one vacancy, but otherwise the normal sanctioned intake cannot increase. Similarly, the outflow from a branch cannot decrease its existing strength by 10. Okay. So we also have many scholarships available. I'm sure you must be interested in them. So we have merit scholarships, we have fee waiver for social uplift of students, fee waivers for students belonging to persons with disability category, fee waivers also based on annual family income of students, and various scholarships offered by government and non-government organizations. We also get, since we are such an old institution, probably the oldest one in North India, so we have a huge alumni base. So they also contribute various kinds of scholarships from time to time. And the basic idea obviously is a serious student will not have to face the problem of shortage of funds. That I can assure you. Okay, so full freeship on tuition fee shall be admissible to these are some of the rules. 2 students on the basis of JEE main rank of the first year. If the top 2 students happen to be boys, then 1 additional full freeship on tuition fee which shall be awarded to the girl student who has the top JEE main rank amongst all the girls who have taken admission this year. Okay, so we can have as many as 3 students getting full freeship. Okay, full freeship, and this is available for all the 4 years. Okay, this is not for the first year itself, this is for all the 4 years, provided full freeship on tuition fee shall be continued in the second and subsequent years, provided your CGPA continues to be above or equal to 9. Okay, this full freeship on tuition fee shall be replaced by half freeship from the second year and subsequent years if your CGPA falls below 9, but it still remains above 8.5. And of course, if your CGPA goes below 8.5, your scholarship will be discontinued. Now, in addition to the above scholarship, these scholarships are for the first year. Then from second year onwards, you have many different more opportunities. Full freeship, half freeship on tuition fee shall be admissible to 2 students of each branch. Okay, so 2 students, top 2 students of each branch in the second, third, and fourth year will also get freeship. Okay, again this rule is here. So again, advantage girls. If the top 2 students happen to be boys, then 1 additional full half freeship on tuition fee may be given to a girl student. Okay, so in a branch, as many as 3 students can get this freeship. Of course, full freeship is if your CGPA is greater than or equal to 9, and half freeship is if your CGPA is greater than or equal to 8.5 but less than 9. Below 8.5, sorry, we don't give you anything. Fee waiver for social uplift of students. All SC and ST students, all admitted students are entitled for half freeship on tuition fee. Students belonging to the physically challenged category, full freeship on tuition fee shall be admissible to all the students belonging to persons with disability categories whose annual family income. So you will have to give a certificate in my office. So if it does not exceed 5 lakh annual family income from all sources, if it does not exceed 5 lakhs, you will get full freeship. If it is between 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs, you will get half freeship. So all physically challenged students admitted in the institute will get one of them, provided the annual family income is below 10 lakhs. Now, further to this, for the general students also, for the economically weaker section, we have the annual family income based fee waivers. So all the students belonging to families who have a BPL card, below poverty line, okay, they will get full freeship. And those students whose family income does not exceed 5 lakh will get half freeship, but that will be limited to maximum 2% of the students in a batch. So like around you have 800 students, so 16 students of your batch will be eligible for this half freeship. Okay, besides that, we have scholarships available by government and non-government organization. This is a very important portal. Please note it down. You must visit this. www.scholarships.gov.in. So this is a central government portal. All the schemes, details of the schemes are given here. Maybe you can find one. Our institute is listed here. It is approved by this portal. So once you enter your institute, you enter your details, you become entitled for the scholarship. Okay. So the various categories. This is not all inclusive. Okay, this is not exhaustive. You will have other schemes also. But just to give you an idea, we have top class education scheme for SC students, central sector scheme. We have top class education scheme for students with disability. Again, this is a central sector scheme. Then we have a uh, uh, Prime Minister scholarship for this is armed police forces and Assam Rifles, and post-matric scholarships was for SC and ST students. So besides that, there are so many other scholarships available. You must visit this portal. Okay. Now coming to the academic performance, minimum level of performance for movement to higher semesters. No restriction on movement of a student from odd to even semester. Okay. So from first to second semester, from third to fourth, you will move seamlessly. Okay. After 1 year, so promotion to next year of the program only if the student has completed a minimum of 24 credits. Please note it down. During the previous year with a CGPA of 4.5. So for each year, you must earn at least 24 credits and CGPA of 4. A student who fails to secure a SGPA of at least 4.5. So every semester we are going to monitor it. So all those students who do not earn 4.5, whose SGPA is less than 4.5, and who fail to earn a minimum of 12 credits during a semester will be considered on academic probation. You will be informed. Your parents and your guardians will also be informed, and a letter of warning will be issued to you to be more serious in your studies. Extra classes, of course, will be conducted for such deficient students. Please contact the DAPC of your department for more details. Now, academic requirements. Now, here our requirements are slightly different, and I want you to note it carefully. Normally, like we have UGC guidelines, they are all like they say 75% attendance is mandatory. Beyond, if you have less than that, the student is not allowed to appear in the end of examination, things like that. No, but we have very different attendance requirements. All UG/PG students are expected to attend 100% of the classes during lectures, tutorials, and practicals in a course. In case the attendance in a course is between 50 to 75%. Of course, if it is above 75%, no issue. You don't worry. If it is between 50 to 75%, the earned grade in that course. So it is not that you will not be allowed to sit in the examination. You will be evaluated. You will be made to undergo all the evaluation processes. But the earned grade in that course will be lowered by 1 level. Okay. So suppose you have earned a B plus grade and your attendance is 60%, you will finally be awarded B grade. Okay. And in case your attendance is less than 50%, the earned grade would be lowered by 2 levels. So B plus, from B plus, if your attendance is less than 50%, it comes to B and then it comes to C plus. So the final grade you get is C plus. However, if a student, however, one condition is there, and it is, I think, very obvious also, but still I will point it out, that if a student has earned a pass grade otherwise, like D you have earned, obviously we will not lower it. If you have earned C, we will lower it only up to D, even if you have attendance less than 50%. Okay. For the duration, the academic requirements are minimum duration to complete the BTech program is 4 years. So you minimum have to spend 8 semesters with us, but there is a semester exchange policy. Out of these 8 semesters, you can go for 1 semester or 2 semesters to another reputed institute, maybe some IIT, or even abroad you can go to spend 1 or 2 semesters, and a maximum permissible duration is for your BTech program. Maximum permissible duration is 6 years, 12 semesters, excluding semester leave. So suppose the Senate has granted you semester leave, the authority for granting the semester leave rests with the Senate. So first you submit an application to the DAPC, the department considers it, and if the department feels that the reasons are genuine, it forwards it to my office. I put it before the Institute Academic Program Committee, IAPC, then lastly it goes to Senate. So your semester leave has to be finally approved by the Senate. So these are your academic requirements. A student is required to complete successfully all the courses of the curriculum prescribed for his or her undergraduate program and attain minimum 160 credits with CGPA of 5 or above. Okay, so overall CGPA, your overall credits at the end of your program must be minimum 160 and you must have a CGPA of 5. Okay. A student will be permitted to repeat a course. Now, this is only a special provision. Okay, this is not a general provision. You will be permitted to repeat a course or maybe a group of courses if you have earned a pass grade in that course. Only in case. Otherwise, if you have attained a pass grade in any subject, you are not allowed to repeat it anytime. But only if your CGPA at the end of the program is below 5. Then we, as a special case, we may allow you to repeat 1 or 2 courses in which you have D grade so that you get your CGPA, overall CGPA above 5. Okay, so we come to the last part. So a student is deemed to have completed all the requirements for graduation if she has met the duration and academic requirements, satisfied additional requirements if any of the concerned department, paid all the institute and hostel dues, and no case of indiscipline is pending against him. So indiscipline is taken very seriously. Please note it down. You have to maintain decorum. You have to maintain code of conduct. So more details will be given by the associate deans to you. So these are the requirements. So I hope the introduction, I have made things clear. So enjoy your stay at PEC. Good luck. Okay, if maybe if you can have a few questions. You are sharing. Acha.
Thank you so much, DA sir, for that informative presentation. I'm sure the students will appreciate you taking out time to address them.
Thank you.
Before
Thank
we
you
move
very
on,
much.
thank you, sir. Before
Thank
we
you.
move on with the session, please note that after this session, you will be having a 15-minute quiz, which will mark your attendance for this day. And all the details will be shared on your respective WhatsApp groups. So don't worry about that. All right. Traditionally, day one of orientation includes a walking tour of a beautiful campus spread over 149 acres, where you get to discover firsthand all the facilities it has to offer. However, this year, the creative team of PEC has stunningly captured the charismatic essence of the institute in an incredible video. By this video, we hope to instill the thrilling essence of seeing the college for the very first time. Also, make sure that you get the quiz links on your WhatsApp groups. And here we go with the campus tour video. Enjoy.
We're now done with the Chandigarh tour and are in Punjab Engineering College. It is located in Sector 12 Chandigarh and covers a total area of 146 acres.
Punjab Engineering College was established in 1921 in Lahore. After partition, it shifted to Roorkee, and in 1953, it came to its campus in Chandigarh.
We at PEC provide a perfect balance of curriculum as well as extracurricular activities. So congratulations to all of you on your admission, and now we'll take you for your campus tour.
The helicopter that you see here is something that we're extremely proud of. It was presented to us by Air Command SPS Vic in January 2004. It acts as an identifying symbol for our college. And whenever you ask an auto rickshaw wala bhaiya in Chandigarh, bhaiya, PEC jana hai? The answer that you'll get is, acha, helicopter wala college. We're now in the administrative block, which is also the backbone of this college. Office of the Dean Student Affairs. Our DSA and the 3 ADSAs sit over here. All the co-curricular activities that you do in your college time are of the people sitting inside. This is the office of the Dean Academic Affairs. Over here, you will enroll for your courses, get your transcripts, और अगर backlog आ गया, तो आना जाना बहुत ही बढ़ जाएगा. Also, over there, we have the billing section where all the transactions associated with the college happen. We're now in the admin office. Most of the executive officials sit here. On the second floor of this office, our director, Dr. Dheeraj Sanghi, sits. The TPO, also known as the Training and Placement Office, invites companies on campus and provides us with the best career opportunities available. One of the major reasons why we join PEC is because of the amazing placements we get, and I can proudly say that the TPO raises its bar every year. TPO also provides us counsel for higher studies and gives us insights into alternate career options. This auditorium is one place where we have most of our memories, from yawns while attending a formal session to preparing for events backstage. This place never fails to amaze us with the surprises it has to offer. From tripping over wires to arranging for sound systems to bonding with seniors, we've had our best times here. A small trivia, the first session of Punjab Vidhan Sabha was held in this auditorium.
This that you see here is the Applied Sciences Department. It provides for core disciplines like mathematics, chemistry, physics, among others, which act as a foundation for all your engineering courses. What makes this department unique is that every student joining PEC has to take up applied science courses in the first year.
During our semester, we have lectures, but sometimes that's not enough to understand the subject, and hence there's provision of tutorials conducted in institutions. But तब भी यहाँ की उससे ज़्यादा club activities की attendance रहती है. This is a drawing hall. Even though these halls are more personal to the production department, these are open to all branches. Most of our exams are conducted on these tables. पर यहाँ आपको ज़्यादा लोग नहीं मिलेंगे क्योंकि यहाँ चढ़ते-चढ़ते लोग हाफ जाते हैं.
The library that you see here sees a transition from no students in the start of the semester to an absolutely jam-packed hall in the end. During the exam season, once you leave your seat, you won't get it back. फिर चाहे रुमाल छोड़ो, चाहे किताब. The Computer Center of PEC provides computational facilities to all its users. Students, staff, and faculty from different departments and sections get accounts to access the internet and email services from the Computer Center. The Computer Center also offers special purpose and advanced software for use.
PEC Market. This is the place where most of you will spend time making friends and having a gala time between breaks. Could be the place where you make your study plans or decide your entrepreneurship ideas, so while you're here, make it productive and fun. There's food, and then there are stationery shops which provide us with the study material during exams. We have an SBI branch and a post office in case you still believe in sending and receiving letters.
Now the Computer Science and Engineering Department, which shows our software engineers have a high caliber of technical expertise. This department provides for which fosters innovation and a critical vision necessary to survive in the software industry. Also, we have the Cybersecurity and Research Center, which was established in 2007. and its key work areas include cybersecurity, cybercrime investigation, malware analysis, warfare, counter-cyber terrorism, among others. This that you see here is the Electronics and Communication Department. With fully up-to-date and equipped labs, this department has always strived to inculcate the very best in its students. Famous for its experienced faculty, students from this department have bagged top placements and have got into the best institutions for higher education.
New Academic Block is the newest building in PEC, inaugurated just 5 years ago. This is the place where the classes will be held during first year. You will find newly built lecture halls, seminar rooms, and conference rooms in this building. You will also find an AC in every room of this building, which will make it easier for you to go through during summers. The Center of Management and Humanities was established in 2016 by carving out a section pertaining to Management and Humanities from the Applied Science Department. In addition to a compulsory course offered in BTech 8th semester, this department also offers various electives in the fields of finance, business research, management, and many more.
The Department of Civil Engineering is one of the oldest in the institute. It is excellently suited to meet the ever-changing requirements of engineers with courses that combine study of management, business skills, and computers with engineering. The Department of Mechanical Engineering is as old as the institute itself. It can boast to have very well-equipped laboratories, centralized workshops, Center of Excellence supported by Siemens, which caters to the need of the entire institute, nearby industries, and society at large. Don't be surprised if you see girls talking about mechanical, because we have girls in this branch as well.
One of the oldest departments in PEC, this is the Electrical Engineering Department. Here, you study various topics such as microprocessors, controllers, and many more. Various notable alumni from this department are placed at very high positions in the industry.
Started in 1962, the Department of Aerospace Engineering has over the years adapted and improved with the fast pace of technology. With rapid changes in the professional world, the department has also established new courses and laboratories for the students to succeed.
This is the Open Air Theatre, also known as the OAT. All cultural nights as well as students' performances are hosted here. While the auditorium is the perfect place for all formal gatherings, the OAT makes up for the perfect ambience for all the informal sessions. Once you all come to college, you'll surely love this place. This is the SAC, the Students' Activity Center. Here you will find most of the students working for their respective clubs as well as their upcoming events. This place is full of hustle and positive cheer.
This is a department जहाँ necessity और loyalty की value एक drafter decide करता है. Established in 1967, the strength of the production and industrial engineering department lies in the potential of its students, the commitment of the faculty, and the various facilities in the fields of human engineering, 3D printing, and machining. The production department is also one of the 2 departments in PEC which have a center of excellence, making great strides in the fields of value and human engineering as well as 3D printing.
EIC, or the Entrepreneurship and Incubation Cell, also referred to as the most productive hideout in our college, is set up to develop young entrepreneurs and foster the spirit of entrepreneurship. If you wish to have your own startup someday, this is your place to nurture ideas and develop your skills.
Now we are at the Siemens Lab. This lab was inaugurated on 17 December 2019 by the Honorable Governor of Punjab and Administrator UT Chandigarh, Shri VP Singh Budlon. This Centre of Excellence was established at the cost of 170 crores, having 14 labs in the areas of energy, digital manufacturing and automation. This lab covers a total area of 17,000 square feet and provides over 60 plus Siemens certified courses which are recognized globally.
We're now in the Materials and Metallurgical Engineering Department. This department has shown noteworthy progress in its research and industrial exposure and is famous for its alumni having high posts in the industry.
Our institute has 2 playgrounds as well as a well-maintained athletic track, which encourages students to take part in a lot of games. We at PEC also organize an annual athletic meet, which attracts a lot of crowd and cheer. Fun fact, our sports complex is located in one corner of the college, ताकि बच्चों का यहाँ आते-आते ही warm up हो जाए.
This is Shivalik, one of the 4 boys hostel. This is where you will stay in your first year. It has 3 blocks, with C block being the newest one established just 5 years ago. This is Aravali, second boys hostel. Usually, most of the secondarites get this hostel, which is located just behind Peck Market. This is the Himalaya hostel. Usually, you'll get to stay in this hostel in your third year. You'll also find your seniors boasting about the food that they provide at the Himalaya mess. This is the Kurukshetra hostel. It is famous for its HPL, which is the Hostel Premier League. It consists of both day and night matches, and students have a gala time here.
One of the 2 girls' hostels, this is the Vindhya. With 77 rooms, this is going to be your home away from home for the next 4 years for all the BTech students. It has facilities like a common room, a mess, and beautiful gardens. And this is the place where you'll make your most memorable memories that you can take away even after your college life. Renamed after our celebrated alumna Kalpana Chawla in 2006, this hostel is allotted to the MTech and PhD students. It provides you with all facilities, including a mess and a common room.
After that exciting tour, we hope you are eagerly awaiting to visit campus, and we sure are waiting to meet you all. Continuing with the legacy of PEC, we are proud to say that college has entered the celebration of 100 years of its commencement. Throughout this year, PEC has not only created exceptional leaders, but has also amplified the quality of education with constant adaptation, which has been a hallmark here. It is this mark of empathy and perseverance that has allowed PEC to grow as an exceptional institution, which it is. Here is a video, PEC as a brand.
as you know, has ordered a lockdown after consulting several health experts.
स्कूल, कॉलेजेस, यूनिवर्सिटीज, जिम, स्विमिंग पूल सब बंद कर दिया जाए.
Virus first confirmed case coming out right there.
As we draw towards the end of morning slot 1 of day 1, I hope you are all delighted to be part of this institution and are awaiting the beginning of your formative years here. Following the morning slot, you will be provided a link to join the evening slot, which is branch specific. Any queries may be directed towards your branch in charges. I would also like to remind you that there is a quiz which is now available on your WhatsApp class groups, and it ends 15 minutes from now, that is 12:45 p.m. Alongside, there is a webinar at 7 p.m. today being taken by Dr. Krishnamurthy Subramaniam on post-COVID economy. It is compulsory for all freshers to attend this webinar for today's final attendance. The YouTube link will be shared on your WhatsApp class groups. There will be a question from this webinar for tomorrow's quiz. Once again, we are thrilled to have you and hope you have found this to be a valuable experience. Hope you have a wonderful day ahead.